Schönen guten Vormittag nach Österreich. Mein Name ist Hans-Jörg Hörtnagl. Ich bin der österreichische Wirtschaftsdelegate in New Delhi und herzlich willkommen zu unserem Webinar. I will now switch to English because all our participants are English speakers. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to our webinar, The Future of Education in Asia, with a special focus on India and on the Philippines. And I would like to mention that for Austrian companies, there's a huge, enormous potential in India. Traditionally, our exports consist of all kinds of machinery technology. Last year, we had an export plus of over 23%, and we crossed for the first time in history the 1 billion euro trade mark in exports, and our bilateral trade is 2.2 billion euros. So also our imports from India increased tremendously. And in the recent years, we also offered not only machinery and exports in goods, but also all kinds of technical services. So these have been the basic exports from Austria. From the Austrian side, goods, machinery, and technical services. And in recent time, we see a very interesting change. We have more and more Austrian companies offering services online or IT-enabled services. And we see also a lot of potential in India. Maybe as you know, India is the third largest D-Hub, Eco-Hub system in the IT sector in the world. It's the third highest number of unicorns, of startups, and so on. And I think there's enormous potential also in a kind of cooperation, let's say using Austrian know-how, Austrian services, using Indian platforms. So I think also the format of business will change. Before we had more business to business, or let's say from industry to industry. And now we're having more and more Austrian companies which could provide services directly to the end consumers. So let's say it's also from city to city, from village to village, and so on. And as I said, there is a huge potential in all these sectors. And our focus today is on education. And I would like to leave it on our experts. And I pass the floor to our colleague from Delhi, Mr. Ajay Singh.
Good morning for the audience in Austria, and good afternoon to the ones joining from India, Manila, and from the Asia region. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. My name is Ajay Singh, and I am the Senior Advisor to the Commercial Counselor at Advantage Austria, New Delhi. Ladies and gentlemen, before we hear out our wonderful expert, let me mention a few housekeeping rules. The webinar will take place in English. In addition, we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. However, you wish, you can always ask a question in German by using the chat function. I will translate and present your question to our panel. I would advise you to ask the question during the webinar so that we can collect it in the meanwhile and read it out during the dedicated Q&A session at the end. Moreover, it is important to note that the webinar is live, but it still also be recorded and available on our YouTube channel. You can skip taking the screenshot during the webinar. All the presentation will be available on our website, bko.at as well. Now, without further ado, I would like to request Professor Ananthasuresh, Dean Mechanical Science, Indian Institute of Science, to make his presentation on future of education. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ajay, and I thank the Australian Embassy for inviting me to share some of the thoughts on education in India, and also my institute, Indian Institute of Science. Can I have the slides, please? Yeah. So Indian Institute of Science, also known as IISc, is a 113-year-old institution in India. It is the second university in India, and also the one that has been expanding at a large pace for 113 years, as I said. And I serve as the Dean of Mechanical Sciences in this institution. Next slide, please. So, Indian Institute of Science has been a great player in the nation building in India. For example, our space organization, ISRO, as it is called, the Indian Space Research Organization, and Department of Atomic Energy, and several other things actually have benefited from our alumni, our faculty, and staff actually in many ways. So, for example, I'm showing just 3 examples here in light combat aircraft and missile development, as well as the recent Mars orbiter mission. All of these have been, we have a role to play in these, and also several institutions such as TIFR, which is a nice, fine institution of research in India, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, also with the companies like Wipro, Infotech, and some other institutions, both educational as well as government research labs, who actually have come out of our institution in one way or the other. Next slide, please. I just want to give the idea that our institution is, according to the national ranking, has been #1 for several years, and we also are world #1 in this particular special metric, which is number of citations for publications per faculty. We have the pleasure of being world #1 in this, because our institute is primarily a research institution. For a long time it has been that way, and only postgraduate institution. That is, we only have masters and PhD program here, but now we also undergraduate program. Let me dwell on education, even though research is an equal part of our institution. Our institute is set up into the 6 divisions: physical and mathematical sciences, electrical, electronics, computer sciences, mechanical sciences, chemical sciences, biological sciences. It covers both engineering and science, various disciplines. And now we have a 6th division, which is called interdisciplinary sciences. That is the trend, as we all know, because most of the exciting things are happening at the interface of different disciplines. So we have created a new division. Under that, we have several cutting-edge research programs and educational programs, which I will dwell on. Under these 6 divisions, we have 42 departments, and those are shown here in terms of the faculty numbers as well as student numbers. And our interdisciplinary division also is growing at a high pace. And these are departments that we have in each of these divisions. We can move to the next slide and the slide after, where the departments are listed. Next one, yeah. So as you can see, if you scan through this list, almost every discipline that one can think of in science and engineering, we have only science and engineering. We don't have business or law or any of those. We just have one thing that is a management department. Other than that, we have science and engineering well represented. Almost any topic one can think of that is being researched, as well as there are education programs in that. We also have a Center for Contemporary Studies, which is kind of a more general humanity side of our institute. Otherwise, our institution is largely science and engineering. That's where we do the education as well as research. Next slide, please. I think slide will come up. Yeah. So here are some of the degrees offered. This is the traditional way of doing. We have PhD and masters. Within masters, we have several programs: Master of Technology and Master of Technology with research component, Master of Design, Master of Management, and we also have recently started Master of Science degrees in line with our new education policy of the Indian government. It's a new policy that is expected to bring a lot of flexibility in our education system, and we're already in line with our new education policy. And a few years ago, about 10 years ago, we started Bachelor of Science degree, and that is also growing. And now we have, as you can see in this slide, we have started our first Bachelor of Technology degree at the undergraduate level in math and computing. So taking our strengths in research, we want to also look at the contemporary trends in both employability and also needs of the country. We have started this program, a bachelor's program in math and computing, where we are going to have computational science and mathematics taught to these undergraduates. Also, as I said, we have started 2 life sciences and chemical sciences master's program. This is in line with the new education policy of the country. And can we go back to the previous slide one more time? Previous slide, please. Last slide, yeah. So as you can see, we have also started several Mtec programs, one in bioengineering, one in electronic product design, robotics, smart manufacturing, quantum technology. All these are new and upcoming areas in terms of research, not only our institution, but also other places, to prepare graduates who are specialized in these upcoming disciplines. We have started several Mtec programs. There are more programs that are planned in mobility engineering, simulation technology, space engineering. We keep up with the changing trends of the country. And we also have some joint PhD programs with foreign universities. Two examples are listed here, University of Melbourne and Australian National University. Next slide, please. I think the slides have a slight delay. Yeah. So another trend that we all see, especially during the pandemic time, so the online education has picked up, and we have already done that. In fact, we have this NPTEL platform, the technology enhanced learning has been around, and a lot of our faculty members have prepared a number of courses under this NPTEL platform. But then we also started online Mtech programs. This is for the people who work in the industry, because some of them might have only bachelor's degree and feel that they are slightly outdated and cannot keep up with the latest trends in science and engineering and technology. So I started 3 Mtech online programs. They're completely online, and we are actually planning more programs of that kind, so that the expertise of the faculty of the institute is available for students all over the country and probably all over the world as well. And then we started, in addition to the traditional degrees of master's, PhD, and bachelor's, we started these certificate programs. And that means that people who are employed, or even otherwise students who are in other colleges, if they want to master some topic, and some are listed here, let's say digital health and imaging, and smart factories in digital manufacturing, artificial intelligence, deep learning, computer data science, and more. We are offering these certificate programs where they can again take them online and earn the basically a certificate from an institution like IASC, but more importantly, they can keep themselves up to date with the current or state-of-the-art technologies. Next slide, please. We have actually a Center of Continuing Education, which helps us in this online education aspects. And we also started a program with a company called Talent Sprint. And what they do is they do all the logistics and marketing and everything. Our faculty teach courses. And once again, here we have these courses. They run actually several months, and they are taught during weekends and evenings, mostly weekends actually, more than evenings, so that people who are working can take these courses. Here again, we have a number of contemporary topics which are important for skill development for those who have probably gotten their degrees several years ago and now they want to come back. Coming back to campus is very difficult for them, so we are offering these online courses for them. And they do visit campus twice during those several months so that they can interact with instructors. Also, we give them hands-on experience so that everything that cannot be done online, we actually give them for a couple of weekends. They'll be here, and then they would get the hands-on training also. So going the trends that we have now, our institution is taking up all these new initiatives to make our expertise available to people at large. Next slide, please. Next slide. I think probably slide takes a little while. I don't want to put it out of context, but you know, we have, in addition to teaching the normal graduates or who are working in industry, we're also working on training high school teachers. The next slide, that information is available. So we have another campus in a rural area, about 225 kilometers from the city where we are located, that is Bengaluru. From there, about 225 kilometers away, we have a rural campus where we have set up teachers training program. And over here, these are teachers who teach high school students from 6 standards to 10 standard, and science teachers, because our institution is focused on science research. So we call those teachers. It's all paid for. So they come here and spend time, learn how to teach, and we also tell them how to use experimental aids in the classroom, how to excite students towards research, and we have trained as many as 13,500 teachers in the last few years. And since it's been a successful program in science teacher education, we have also aligned it with a national program called Pandit Madmohan Malaviya program. And I think we need to go back to the previous slide, so that it's actually expanding now. And there has been a suggestion that even this teachers training also, we can do it online so that we can really scale up. Now we have reached out to about 13,000 teachers, but if we want to reach out to 10 times that, then we need to do it online as well. In addition to teachers training, we are also taking up skill development. That's another trend that we see, because in the future, people want to learn a specific skill so that they can get a job, or what we call jig thing. So they just acquire one skill and they're ready to be employable. So towards that, we have also started a skill development program with an organization called HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So we have built a new facility in our Challakere campus, in the rural area. Like I said, there are hostels there. People will go there. They have their captive audience. So they stay there for a few months and get training in trade skills. So mostly it's focused on aerospace because our sponsor is a aerospace company, but we also do electrical, mechanical, and other civil engineering, those programs also. As you can see, the topics, some of them are listed here: augmented reality, virtual reality. That is, we are keeping up with the contemporary trends, user interface, artificial intelligence, IoT, Internet of Things. So those are the things we are doing for the skill development. And next slide, please. One thing that we are doing, again, in keeping with the trends in the country as well as the nation's need, we are actually starting a medical school at the postgraduate level. As I said, our institution is mostly focused on postgraduate education. Now we have started undergraduate programs. With the medical school also, we want to first begin the postgraduate medical school along with a hospital, where we combine science, engineering, and medicine. This is again a new trend in education as well as practice, where we want to combine the medical background and engineering and science background, so that people who come out of this program would know science, technology, engineering, along with medical science. Next slide, please. And in this program, we are going to begin a MD PhD program. That is something that's very common in North America as well as Europe and other parts, but in India, MD PhD has not been very successful. Since we are going to have our own hospital on our campus with science, engineering, and also medicine now, we want to have a new program where medical doctors, while they are doing their masters, they also concurrently do a PhD. That means that they actually do research. And towards this, we are building up the ecosystem where medical doctors, engineering and science faculty can work together. They do research as well as they have this PhD program that we are thinking about. So in this way, both the MD and PhD degrees will be awarded together at the end of their 5 or 6 years experience here. So in summary, we can go to the last slide. Our institution is trying to align itself with the new education policy, creating flexibility at the undergraduate level programs, master's level programs, and PhD level programs, multidisciplinary. We had only science and engineering. Now we are going to medical education also. This is in summary, and whatever I've said about institution also applies to India at large, because our institution actually gives a lot of our graduates as faculty to these institutions, and whatever we are trying to do is in line with what the country needs. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end.
Thank you, Professor Ananthasuresh, for your amazing presentations. Lots of insights and learning for us. Now I would request Professor Sivaji Bandyopadhyay, Director, NIT Silchar. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Ajay, and other dignitaries who are present, and the large number of attendees who are joining this webinar. Today, we'll be sharing our thoughts on the future of education in India, technology, and the trends in education. And obviously, not only technology, but internationalization and man-to-man connectivity is an important part of the future of education, not only in India, but we understand that is across the world. Next slide, please. Yeah, so as you can see, ours is basically a very green campus, 625 acres and 23 such national lakes. So we value the environment the most. That means the sustainability part also. And as we can see, that is our buildings are spread across the campus, several buildings. And in terms of the Green University ranking, we rank in the 200 positions. The previous year it was 275 and 50 in India. So along with our research and innovation in other domains. So we started as a regional engineering college in 1967. Academic activity started in 1977 with civil, mechanical, and electrical. The electronics communication engineering that was established in 1983. Computer science and engineering in 1987. It was upgraded to a National Institute of Technology in 2002. And those in India who know, and for other attendees also, in India after IITs, so NITs are the next level of technology institutions. And we have one NIT in each state. So we are one of the 31 NITs in the country. We started our undergrad programs. We have 6 undergrad programs, as you can see: mechanical, civil, electrical, then EC, then CSE, and then instrumentation, which is the most recent one. And then we have 17 postgraduate programs and 3 science courses, mathematics, physics, and chemistry. We organize only MSc programs in this, and we have PhD program in all these areas. And not only the engineering, science, the management, and we have a humanities and social science department also, which run PhD programs. So that gives us a lot of opportunities to go for multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary research, teaching, research, and learning. Next slide, please. Yep. Next. Now, just the previous one. Okay. So in terms of rankings, obviously with respect to IIC Bangalore or other top-rated institutions in the country, ours is basically a small size National Institute of Technology. But in the National Institution ranking framework, we have jumped from 48 to the 38th position. And this is recognized as a research institution in the NIRF ranking as well. And in the international ranking, we feature both in QS and the Times Higher Education. And in the Asian parlance, Asian paradigm, in the Times Higher Education, we are in the 201 to 250. But most importantly, what I should tell about or share about is our focus on the environment and the sustainability part as well. So let's move to the next slide, please. Yeah. As I have said at the beginning, that is, along with the regular teaching learning, we focus 3 of our mottos are research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So that as an NIT, we have been able to be recognized as one of the top 50 research institutes in the country. We have our ranking in the National Innovation Ranking as well. And we put a lot of focus on the research, so that is evident in terms of publications and citations, increased number of research projects, and we have a good faculty strength. And one focus that we have put is that in the last 4 years or so, we have basically doubled the number of PhD scholars, with around 200 faculty plus faculty members. Currently, we have more than 800 PhD scholars, so that we can do research in multiple areas. And we have adopted the National Innovation and the Startup Policy for faculty and the students as well. Next slide, please. Now, if we look into the statistics, or that is our activities in the last 5 years or so, in terms of patents, you can see there is a growth in terms of patents granted, student strength, sponsored projects. There is a gradual increase over the years in terms of startups also. As I have said, research, innovation, and entrepreneurship, these are three of our main pillars of our growth. And along with the increase in the number of PhD students, we have put a focus on the undergraduate research, so that we have an undergraduate research council through which we support research activity in our undergrad students, so that our UG, the postgraduate, and the PhD students, they form a research ecosystem. And that is evident in our Scopus publications, which shows an improvement over the last few years, and in terms of citations also. So you can see that there is a continuous increase, and which is increasing over the years, so that the research activity that we carry out in various engineering, science, and management domains, these are attracting the attention of the people all over the country. The next slide, please. Next slide. We also focus on the internationalization and collaboration with the international institutes. So starting from France, Romania, then neighboring country of Bhutan, USA, Hungary, Italy, Ireland, then with the IITs in India, then we so that our students can get a first-hand exposure experience in the highway construction. So with the National Highway Authority of India, we look after around 250 kilometers of national highway in this northeast part of India, and in the terms of materials, in cement and the building materials, with the National Council, that is so that our research not only limited to the classrooms and laboratories, with CSIR libraries also. Next one, please. And in the next month, we are sending a team to Australia as part of the startup business delegation, and we have several international projects sparked with Germany, then UK, Canada, then ASEAN projects also, then with France, then with European Union, one on sustainability. That is a consortium mode projects with Finland, then with Ireland also, and there are several national level projects, 74 of them, which are currently running. So some bit of them, some focus points will be taking up. So one of our guiding principle is basically the National Education Policy, what we term as the NEP 2020, which provides for a holistic development of a student or the overall education system. And by holistic, we means that is again the focus is on the research, the innovation, and the entrepreneurship, and that is the thrust that the government of India so which is rooted in the deep rooted in the Indian knowledge system, but at the same time we focus on the internationalization of education. The focus is on the learner-centric one and the outcome-based one. Emphasis on interdisciplinary and translational research and development, but preserving the ancient culture, heritage, and recreating the ethos of ancient Indian education. Because we understand that is unless one is rooted deeply into its own identity, so the growth of a person or growth of a nation cannot be defined. And so similar to the growth of a tree that we define. So in terms of National Education Policy 2020, we have established a Center for Indian Knowledge System, so that we look back into the past that we had, and so the knowledge that we can that was garnered over those years, and in terms of modern scientific thought, how they can be taken up and implemented. Then we put because India is a multilingual country, so we have a center for natural language processing and multilingualism and multiculturalism, which is the backbone of India. And recently we have introduced 2 postgraduate programs. One is on renewable energy, another is on AI. In renewable energy, I should say here is that we have an 1 megawatt solar power plant, because this part of India is actually blessed with sunlight, and this solar power plant provides about 30% of our energy requirement, and during periods of students' vacation. So we provide the additional excess power to the state grid as well. Among the NITs, we are the previous slide, please. Among the NITs, we are the only NIT which allows doctors to join the interdisciplinary PhD program in the field of medical imaging and technology. And and we have already quite a number of doctors who are pursuing this. We have introduced 2 courses for our undergrad students on innovation and IPR and entrepreneurship and the venture management, so that in terms of startup and incubation, so our students become aware right from the beginning. Next slide, please. Yeah, so some of our endeavors towards future, that is one is obviously the CI case and the CNLP, and recently we have been allotted an inclusive technology business incubator in the digital technology vertical from the Department of Science and Technology. We put a lot of focus on medical imaging, healthcare and bioinformatics. In the area of healthcare and bioinformatics, we are in talks with French universities to start a joint program. Then machine learning, AI, deep learning technology, then water resources and energy. These are one of our key focus areas. Then unmanned aerial systems, that is one part, and this part of the India where the focus is on the micro, small and medium enterprise or the MSME for the development of sustainable products or for future. So we are working with the grassroots level of people, and we have MOU with the reputed academia and industries to collaborate in research, innovation and entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. Yeah, the NIT, the Silchar itself, though being not so much maybe a very well-known name to the world, but this has a strategic advantage also with natural resources like bamboo, forest products, and the cane, and which can be easily promoted to low-cost housing materials and other products at the same time. This is blessed with a large perennial, small and large perennial rivers, where mini and the micro hydro projects are going on, and that gives us an opportunity to interact with them. Then several cement manufacturing factories, notable oil factories also in this region, and the renewable energy hub. And there are a locational advantage in that sense with the Southeast Asia. Maybe if we go to the next slide, please. Yeah. The innovation and entrepreneurship policy, I think that is another domain area. There is the Startup Center, Pre-Incubation Startup Center we started in 2016. And so through IEDC, we promote innovative projects leading to IPR, technology transfer and commercialization. And since 2018, we have started the Undergraduate Research Council, through which we identify the research projects, because we understand that focused research area handling is the thing for the future. Then we are part of the National Innovation and the Startup Policy, and through our Institute Innovation Council, the activities that we have done in the last few years, more than 5,000 beneficiaries, more than 250 plus events. We have 21 innovation ambassadors. We have got a 4-star rating from the Institute Innovation Council from the Ministry of Education, and we are obviously ranked. And these clips shows glimpses of activities. That is, so the activities are not only confined, and during this COVID period, it has given us the opportunity to go international in a massive scale. And we have many of our startups alumni also who are working at the national level and who are notable startups and Mtec. So they provide support. Now, the future of education in India, I think, let's stop here for some time. So from the traditional classroom teaching methods, so all over the world, so it has shown us that e-learning is the way of learning for the future, and that has given to the rise of EdTech, education technology startups. And I think for the future also, and for the next month when there will be the startup delegation will be visiting Austria, I think more thrust will be on the EdTech startups basically, because that is the need for the future. And so the pandemic has opened us initially new challenges, access to and availability of learning materials, because for example, in India, what we have seen that there is a vast divide. Now there are rural areas, there are far-flung areas, there are metros, there are big cities. So, but everyone need to learn itself. So just let us keep on to the few slides for a few moments. Go back to the, yeah, okay. So the future that is coming up is basically the digital university. So that that is the as we are slowly returning back to normal, but at the same time, so we are going back to the traditional methods of teaching learning, but digital university requirement and the blended mode of learning. So as we have seen that other institutes are going. So the different challenges like automatic grading, AI-based evaluation, then the blockchain in the education system, so that are coming up. And so just if you keep a few slides back, Jessica. So let's stop at this point. So the role of technical education for the future.
We will have a dedicated Q&A at the end, so we can sum it up now, and then I will ask again.
Yes. Yeah. So there is the technical education, the role where the society is basically will be growing up. So that has a key component. So obviously, when we talk about the digital area, we should not be leaving aside the man-to-man communication within the country, across the globes also. And with this, that is, we express our thanks to all the participants and all the panelists also. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bandyopadhyay, for your insightful presentation. Thank you very much, sir. May I remind our audience, you can ask questions via chat function right now, and as well as I will make sure to bring it to our speakers at the end of the presentation. Quickly, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Aileen, Sector Manager for Education and Tourism in Manila-Philippines. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Ajay. Good morning to everyone in Austria, and good afternoon to our participants in New Delhi and Manila. I'm Aileen. I'm the Sector Manager for Education here in AC Manila. And I hope everyone is picking up a lot of things in the discussion. I learned a lot from our two previous expert speakers. And if you would allow me just a minute to introduce our speaker from the Philippines, Dan Angelo De Guzman is the CEO and founder of CloudSwift Global Systems. It is a cloud-based technology learning platform that is swiftly covering the markets of Asia Pacific and even in Europe. So Dan has always seen the value in education and imparting this to his colleagues when he was still in Accenture as a consultant, and of course to the younger generation who are in need of future-ready digital skills. So he completed his postgraduate diploma program on product innovation design from the joint program by top-tier universities, namely MIT Sloan, Columbia School of Business, and Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. Young Leader of the Year awardee of Asia CEO Awards 2021 with his company CloudSwift bagging the Technology Company of the Year the very same year. So CloudSwift has successfully partnered with education institutions across the region, government agencies, and tech giants such as Microsoft and AWS. Here in the Philippines, they are actively partnering with our Department of Education to provide opportunities for senior high school students to increase their employability and enhance their digital skills. We have heard from our two speakers from the perspective of higher education institutions. And now, to give his perspective on the future of education, we have Dan to talk about what he and his team learned and what they ought to develop in the coming years. So Dan, I just warmed it up for you. The floor is now yours.
Hi, everyone. Is my audio fine?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. So thank you so much, Aileen, and thanks to the Austrian Advantage or Advantage Austria team. Good afternoon to our folks in Asia Pacific as well as in India, and good morning to our folks from audiences as well from Austria and Europe. Next slide, please. So before I talk about this, by the way, I'd like to share with everyone that those two presentations are hard acts to follow because I've been a total fan of the Indian advanced education system when it comes to the likes of IIS, the NITs, and the IITs of the world. And as you know, by statistics, the largest technology companies in the world are being led by people and students and engineering graduates that are coming from these top institutions in India. So kudos to the Indian institutes and the Indian-based education institutions that have produced highly qualified and high technical talent coming from India, which here in the Philippines and as well as the rest of Southeast Asia are equally pushing as well for this type of digital upskilling across the world. So as you can see here in the slide, Klaus Schwab, which is an executive chairman of World Economic Forum, according to him, the fourth industrial revolution will affect every essence of our human experience, right? So looking at that, if we are to think about what Industry 4.0 is all about, let's take a deep dive of, first of all, how we came about to fourth industrial revolution. So starting from like the first, the second, and the third. So looking at the first industrial revolution, of course, this is when the mechanical systems, the steam and the water power systems have started. And in fact, this got started in Great Britain and the UK, where water and steam power were used to mechanize production. So that's what first industrial revolution is during the 1700s. Second industrial revolution here is about mass production, right? It's all about consumerization across electricity, right? So this is what they call the American Industrial Revolution, or AIR. So this happened between the 1820s and 1870s, where the electric power, as an example of this, was used to create mass production as a whole. Now, the third industrial revolution is, even until now, from second to third, these are still, very traditional or existing commodities that we have in the world. This era used electronics, information technology got kick-started to provide automation and to be able to kickstart digital transformation and production in the likes of manufacturing plants, which started in the 1980s, and in fact, like what I've mentioned before, still ongoing. So now going to the fourth industrial revolution, next slide, please. So this is what we call the modern digital era, right? So this represents the combination of all of the digital transformation solutions across the world. So that includes Internet of Things, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, big data, data science, analytics, which nowadays, gone are those days that only technology companies and and software companies are the only ones that are caring about technologies or modern technologies nowadays. Nowadays, every company is being a tech company. You know, everyone is working on digital transformation solutions internally and offering and creating and building products, innovating products that can then be consumed by their existing customers using their technology integrations. Next slide, please. So with that, all of those advancements during the Industry 4.0, definitely you are making more progress now per year than in the last 25 years. So looking at this very nice photo here where, you know, maybe most of you is aware about Star Wars, where, you know, everything is too futuristic and, you know, with all those robots and all these different planets across. So that represents, to me, that represents us on how we can evolve much faster. And because of these advancements that are being done and occurring in the industry nowadays, that becomes a much more accelerated flow of progression per year than in the last 25 years. Next slide, please. So because of that, an opportunity presents, right? Because of all these advancements, of course, that's why all of these institutions, the higher education, are looking at those all of the advanced upskilling and digital upskilling that are required. Looking at the numbers here, 9 in 10 or 89%, particularly in Malaysia, but across the Southeast Asian region. You know, this data came from Southeast Asia, but Malaysia as given as a data point from this, because it came from the report that majority of whatever data that we can reflect from Malaysia is the one that is actually also reflected across the data in the Philippines, across Southeast Asia. So 89% said they will need to acquire these new technical skills if they want to work in the digital industry. And nearly 70% of these Asia Pacific employers are investing in new technology. So that alone is a good enough proof for us to be able to be driven or be more driven in upskilling ourselves in multiple technologies and embracing these digital transformative solutions across. And that starts with education all the way up to like adult learning and then corporate, which I would be able to show you later on. And over 80% of these learners agree that these future-ready digital technologies will have the positive impact for the jobs that they have in the next 5 to 10 years. So that means if they are able to upskill themselves, they would be able to also have the opportunity to move up. They would be able to have an opportunity to have a much higher pay, and they would be able to have much more meaningful jobs. Meaning to say, if you were previously in a call center answering phones, speaking English and being expected to be good in English, that's not the skills, particularly, for example, in the Philippines alone, that we can offer. There's a lot of technical skills, there's a lot of automation skills that we can offer in the industry, where it's not just about being good in appeasing customers on those customer agent calls, but at the same time to be able to contribute and add value in terms of providing mechanisms and automation and robotics process automation across all of these processes in business processes around the world. 76% of all these learners taking matters into their hands, meaning to say that's how high the number of people that are taking the initiative to spend an investment or spend money in order for them to upskill themselves and in order for them to take their skills to the next level. Next slide, please. So here are the opportunities, just to show with you employability wise, the top 10 job demands in 2022 to look forward to. So number one, as you can see here, are data scientists, because for every companies or for every organization in the world, data is number one priority, right? Whether it's security wise or whether it's a way for them to be able to aid them and help them in terms of making decisions, from marketing to finance to operations to engineering to product development to program management to project management. Every facet or every department of every organization, there is data, and the data can be confidently used as a way for them to be able to make decisions much faster and much better and much more meaningful. Across all of these are also like other job demands that probably 10, 20 years ago we haven't even heard of. So customer success specialists are important because it's important to engage with customers with all these software platforms and solutions being used by their organizations. So it is important for a customer success person or customer success professional to ensure that the journey of using the product would be extremely successful. BIM specialists, so these are building information modeling. So software tools and applications such as AutoCAD and the like are being used in order for them to have a much more efficient design work streams across organizations. Full stack engineers, data engineers, cybersecurity for security purposes, digital marketing specialists, environment officers for sustainability, DevOps engineers, community managers. So as you can see, these type of roles, 8 out of 10 of that are directly technical or technology industry. So what does that say to us? It says that a lot of opportunities are being born or being driven because of all these advancements and because of Industry 4.0 that is currently happening and progressing. And at the same time, an opportunity for each and every one of us to upskill in each and every individual to not just have a traditional mindset, but at the same time think outside of the box, that they can actually contribute and do more. Next slide. So more statistics, right? So 47% of today's jobs will be redefined in 20 years, as everyone says. 65% of today's students do jobs that don't yet exist, that I've just shown to you a proof earlier on those top 10 demanded jobs. 35% of ASEAN employees view online learning as very beneficial. So, you know, because professionals, everyone is busy, they would want something, or they would want a portal or platform to go to so that they can upskill themselves at their own pace, anytime, anywhere. 87% of higher education leaders in Asia believe that they need digital institution to succeed. So that means more and more companies and organizations nowadays are investing a lot in upskilling their employees and their professionals. Next slide, please. So by country across ASEAN, so just to show you a glimpse of the how we bridge the skills gap and the regional trend that we have here, from the data from the pandemic that we had, and now we are in post-pandemic, then even more of these jobs and roles across the region would be able to be more demanded. So the rising skills across ASEAN are predominantly future-ready technology skills. So AI, data science, RPA, front-end development, cloud computing, DevOps, automation, continuous integrations, blockchain, and more. So as you can see here on each country across the Asian region or ASEAN region, including ANZ, it includes all of these advanced, modern, 21st century, future-ready technical skills. Next slide, please. So this is a job task analysis that we always use and we always show our customers and partners around the world, where how we would be able to provide a much more effective and much more efficient way to drive those types of bits and components of learning, right? So we discussed about the Industry 4.0 as an origin of opportunities for these type of digital upskilling trends and future-ready skills. Future-ready skills that are driven through education and organizations. And now digging deeper into how this can be exploded into multiple components so that we can make it more efficient and more effective. Looking at this analysis is pretty simple. As you can look at this diagram, combining learning platforms across micro-credentials, where you can combine multiple courses in each track or each micro-credential track, online courses that are under those micro-credential tracks. And then, of course, if we're talking about future-ready digital skills, learning through reading books and watching videos will never be enough, or listening to lectures alone. Hands-on practical skill set, practice hands-on exercise and activities are the most important aspect. Blended learning experience as well, combining with hybrid, most especially with the post-pandemic era, with all of these combination of solution of platform, content, hands-on labs technology, blended learning with virtual instructor-led trainers or instructors that can guide the students during the session and during the journey of their learning, digital books that can provide as references. And of course, in order for us to provide proof in terms of providing digital credentials, we should always bundle professional and technology industry standard certification exams, that then whenever somebody completes successfully a program, they would be able to generate, or they would be able to acquire industry proven and industry guaranteed technology certifications as well, that they can share on their social media, LinkedIn profiles, and their CVs or resumes. Next slide, please. So I think, as mentioned earlier, right, digging deeper into each of these components. So like I said, micro-credentials, online courses, blended learning, hybrid learning, professional certifications, combining all of that, we'll be combining all the best of both worlds, of all of these worlds, right? Having a platform, content, virtual labs, virtual reality, AR, to have much more practical experience, professional certifications, digital credentialing in the end, so that they would be able to prove what they have learned, and they can use that in terms of increasing their employability. Next slide, please. So in CloudSwift, one of our key solutions is to provide future-ready skills content programs along with our platform that enriches the experience of each learner on a fully online or a hybrid setup, which we work with education institutions and companies around the world. So these future-ready technology skills are divided into each of these tracks and each of these focus points: data analysis, IoT, data science, big data, cybersecurity, DevOps, AI, modern IT support, modern software engineering, role-based certification that will be required. So, say, for example, industry-based through AWS or industry-based through Microsoft, RPA. So all of those content-based components, plus the methodology that I just showed earlier, we would be able to really fit into making sure that we address those needs and demands of the digital transformation industry 4.0 of employability skills that are required to match or to resolve the skills gap, or to bridge the skills gap.
Yeah,
so
just interrupt. We have 2 minutes left.
Sure, no problem. And then if we can breeze through the next slides, please. So one of the things that I'd like to highlight, which we have done and we have worked on as well with one of our education institution partners in India, just to share the story. And in fact, this has been used as well. Our solution has been used as well by universities in Europe, such as University of Vienna in Austria, where our virtual labs technology, which is a proprietary, homegrown, founded, engineered, built here in the Philippines, that are now being used outside in the education use case, where we have created this category of what we call education computing, where our virtual labs technology allows these institutions to be able to not worry about or take or think about anymore their physical devices. Anytime, anywhere, they can access these virtual lab environments, so that they would be able to access software tools and applications that are required for them to practice hands-on and to perform lab exercises without going or without the need to go on-premise to physical computer lab facilities. So we digitally transform the physical computer lab facilities and taking that into the cloud, so that it's going to be much more automated, supported by our team, so that the internal IT teams of education institutions doesn't even have to lift a finger. So In the case of India, we're very proud to say that we're working with one of the top institutions there through our partner, like, Indian Institute of Technology in Jodhpur, where they use this virtual labs technology for their cybersecurity programs, for example, right? And it's the same case that we take to multimedia design, engineering, computer science, IT. So as long as those lab exercises and lab subjects require software tools and applications, that is the problem that we're solving. They don't need to ask their students to go physically anytime, anywhere. As long as they have a browser, internet connection, they can connect and they can access all of their virtual lab environments across. So that saves a lot of money, saves a lot of time, and at the same time creates much more productivity, both on the student side, learner side, and at the same time with the teacher or instructor side of the education institutions. So again, thank you so much. If you can just go to the last slide, please, so that I can show my contact details to everyone, just in case they would like to reach out to us. If you'd like to know more, because I know 15 minutes will never be enough, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find my email there, and you can definitely connect with me, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And you can also drop your questions on the chat here. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure, and you guys have a great day, great morning, great evening.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much for your wonderful, insightful presentation. Quickly, we move up to Q&A session, and I would ask all the speakers to please turn on your camera and microphone, please. I have a question from Grad, and this is regarding from both the institute, NIT and IISc. The question is, do you have created a biobank for research in the medical sector? Is there a data or biobank in medical sector which can be utilized with startups or technology companies?
Yeah, Ajay, can I take that question? Yeah, that's a very interesting question. In fact, having health data is very important for medical research, and we have started on that. There are a number of institutions in India which have been doing. So our aim is to actually set up a data center, health data center, but also biology data center, which will be available for researchers, because most of this data usually is not available to researchers easily, and that's our intent. And we have started something there. Also, in terms of environmental effects, we are working with our state government in Karnataka, where they have this data collected about water quality, air quality, and fauna and flora, and that data will also be useful for the health data. So we are at it. We don't have something to share with others yet, but we've been developing it.
Okay. And a follow-up question to both of you, sir. Is the hydrogen is also a research topic as well as the development or companies in hydrogen sector, how your institution, both NITs and IISc, can help companies in hydrogen?
Okay, Prof. Bandyopadhyay, you want to say anything? Or?
Yeah, yes. At NIT Silchar, so our renewable energy group, or that is the non-traditional energy group, they are working on the generation, working with hydrogen as a energy source. So they are doing some projects on that part. So if there are people interested, obviously we can initiate a collaboration or a communication with them on that matter. Yeah. And as regards to the biobank, obviously we does not have anything to share at this moment, but obviously because we are working in the medical technology domain, so obviously we are in the process basically of creating the biobank.
Yeah. Thank you. Ajay, can I just add something? Hydrogen?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, we have a center for energy research where hydrogen is an important topic. In fact, we have a on-campus facility for converting bio waste into hydrogen. Purification is the important thing here. We can generate hydrogen, should be very pure. And purification is also something that is being taken up by some of our colleagues. And those who are interested, I can connect them to my colleagues.
For Dan, there is one question on regarding the collaboration and how Austrian companies, startups, and institutes can collaborate with your company, and what would be the, is there a possibility, and how do they, basically you shared your question, your details, but they would like to reach out to you. Is there a possibility for collaboration?
Yeah, first of all, as regards NIT Silchar, so obviously we are eagerly looking for collaborating with Austrian companies, and in the next month in the startup business delegation, so 2 of our colleagues will be a part of that delegation, and there I think the one-to-one discussions can start up, can be initiated both with the startups incubators and as well as with the academic institutions as well. In other ways, those who are, they can directly write to us, that is directly write to the institute, to director@nits.ac.in, and obviously with our level of expertise and competence, we'll be responding to that part.
Perfect. Yeah. For Jan, Angelo, how do you, what do you think about the pandemic effect on education? And is there a future of digital education is just starting, where you see this pandemic effect on digital education?
Well, to answer that question, in fact, we have been around for over 7 years, so we were pretty much ahead of the time when pandemic happened. We have already built these solutions, right? So it's not like we predicted it, but you know, we just always felt like there's always a lot of things that needs to be solved in the education sector, and that's what we focused on for the past several years. And in terms of opportunity, I think even pre-pandemic, way back in 2017, 2016, everybody in the industry, not just the education sector, but as well as the other industries, everyone is already talking about all these digital transformation strategies in terms of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and the like. And then, of course, the source of all of those future professionals and future workforce that need to be part of that workforce would be coming from the education sector. So we definitely saw the opportunity right off the bat, looking at those trends even pre-pandemic. But then the pandemic happened in 2020, that served as a catalyst to accelerate all of these advancements.
Perfect. We have more questions, but to save the time, we will send out the questions to the respective speakers. And this is the end of our webinar today for Future of Education, Technology and Trends in Asia. If somebody wants to get in touch with the speakers and you want to know more about the education trends, please, you can note down our details. All the recordings of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.